Hey, how's it going? It's Sam Frost here, back with more digital marketing advice. In today's video, I want to talk about one of the biggest downsides of pay-per-click marketing, specifically search marketing. So I'm talking about things here like Google ads for search, Bing ads. Those are the two kind of biggest ones, Google obviously being the primary player. Now, with search advertising, the primary downside is you don't know anything about the person who is searching your keyword that you're advertising on other than what they've searched. And I'll give you an example to kind of explain why that's a problem. So a lot of the clients I work with sell to other businesses, and they sell products or services that, say, a private individual, a homeowner, or a family member could buy to use at home or use with their family or friends, use kind of a small quantity of a product, or they only need like a very basic product. But the terminology and the language that that private individual would use is similar to what a big business might use, or somebody who's working for a big business. So, I've worked with businesses in the past, for example, who sell products like scaffolding, and they sell scaffolding to larger organizations, other businesses that are using it as part of their day-to-day work to generate income, and their value proposition and what they need and all those kind of things is very, very different to, say, a private homeowner who's doing a little bit of painting of the side of the house and needs some cheap scaffolding just to go a little bit higher than their ladder would take them. But they both use the same words on Google to search for a product. Both that private homeowner and the representative of the larger business might search something like scaffolding for sale. But with that search, the way it works with pay-per-click search marketing is you don't know anything about the user other than what they have put into Google, and you can't really differentiate unless there are very clear modifiers in the search, which as you add more modifiers and the search becomes more specific, the volume is obviously going to drop off. If you start adding lots of modifiers like scaffolding for sale for business use, it might be that very, very few people search that or nobody at all, and you don't get any volume. And so this is one of those problems you can bump up into with search. Same for things like even more generic searches like laptop for sale. If somebody searches for a laptop for sale, you might sell premium high-end laptops, and their interpretation, the person who's making the search, might only be interested in those cheaper, lower-end laptops. Now, you can exclude searches using negative keywords for things like cheap laptops and budget laptops and all that kind of stuff, but those more generic searches can actually cover a very broad range of meanings or definitions from the searcher's end, and that, to me, is the biggest downside with pay-per-click marketing as a sort of digital channel or tactic. It's that it can be really, really difficult, depending on what you're selling, to actually sometimes reach the right type of customer with your paid search activity. This is generally more of a problem for B2B organizations or businesses that are selling higher end products or services that are generally more of a considered purchase or have a very narrow target customer base. But it does happen for consumer businesses as well, because your definition of what a reasonably priced product is might vary greatly, for example, to the customer's definition. And in other contexts, you might be able to get around this by advertising to certain demographics or kind of persona profiles. So it might be that with meta advertising, for example, you know that if you advertise your product or service to people living in certain parts of the country who are over a certain age, who've got interest in certain things, and they tend to fit the profile of maybe being a bit wealthier, they might think that your offer is very reasonably priced. But if you go on Google and advertise it based on generic search terms or keywords, you might get a whole lot of time wasters and tie kickers who have got a very different definition to what you have, because two different people can kind of draw different meanings out of the same phrase, or they might use the same phrase to describe kind of two different outcomes that they're looking for. And so that, to me, is the biggest downside with PPC marketing. Like I said, it tends to be more of an issue for business-to-business sales, where you are selling a product or category of service where the definition can cover something that might apply for a private individual all the way through to a larger organization. It tends to be that you get more private individuals, smaller scale users searching. It's just the way the world works because there's more of them. And you think you're advertising for the right kind of keywords, but actually you're getting a lot of time wasters or tie kickers, or people who, they want to place an order that's worth $1,000, but you need orders that are worth more than $10,000 to make it worthwhile, for example, which is what a lot of my clients who I sort of advise on and help them do digital marketing, that's one of the challenges we tend to work through, is, hey, you could actually get a whole lot of relevant sounding searches. You could drive a whole lot of traffic from pay-per-click marketing on Google or Bing, but actually what we find when we do research and kind of insight is that actually we're not reaching the right kind of person. They're searching something that sounds right, but because of who they are, they're just not a really good fit. So to me, that is the biggest downside of pay-per-click marketing. It's something to bear in mind. Just because a search is made that sounds relevant to your business doesn't necessarily mean that the person who is making that search is going to be a good fit for what you sell. Not so much of a problem, as I said, generally speaking, for business to consumer businesses, so retail, hospitality, consumer services, home services, all those kind of things. That doesn't tend to be so much of issue. More where you get into difficulty there is with very clear kind of modifiers, things like, you know, if you're selling a premium product, making sure you're not targeting people who are searching for a discount or cheap product. That's a kind of different conversation. So you're interested to hear your take on this, leave a comment. If you need any more advice, you can email me on info@samfrost.co.nz. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.